Good evening or good morning whenever you're watching this. I am Kate Raymond from Modern Motion Dance School, and I have Hyatania Jones here with us today, a longtime dance mom with us. And I'm going to let her introduce herself before we get started with some points. Our topic tonight is the school-parent partnership. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. So, as Miss Kate said, I am Hyatania Jones, longtime parent at Modern Motion. I'm a wife and mom of three children. I have two middle schoolers and one high schooler, and I've actually been in education for 26 years. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and taught in New York for 5 years. And then we moved out here in Franklin, and I've been in the Franklin School Township School District for 21 years.
Wow.
So I've taught elementary school for most of those years, most of the grades from K all the way through 5. And right now, I'm currently in my third year as the Dean of Students at Franklin Middle School, Sampson G Smith School. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. I didn't know all those details. I love when I get to talk to you guys on these because I always find more and more about you. It's
Yes.
awesome. So like I said, we're going to talk about the school parent partnership. I know with having just moved, I am going to every school event that I can to meet the superintendents and the teachers and just get to know the culture of the schools and how everything's going
Yeah.
to work.
Hmm.
And so I thought this would be a good topic to bring up because things are so different now. Like the last 3 years, I feel like every year we've gone back to school, something has been different. Um,
Yes.
so my first question to you is, what sort of things are schools doing to transition back to like a new normal?
So, as far as transitioning back to a new normal, I would say with the COVID, there aren't as many restrictions as I guess we've had in the last 2 or 3 school years. So, we're encouraging our students now to come together and sit together in the classrooms, whereas before they were separated in rows, trying to be socially distant. So we don't have socially distanced areas anymore in the classrooms, in the cafeterias. We're encouraging students to sit together in groups again. We're having more clubs and extracurricular and sports in person, whereas before we had them mostly virtually online, and as well as different assemblies. We're having that more in person, and the students are able to assemble like in, assembly form. They don't have to sit distanced away from each other. I heard from the district that we're now going to be having some live celebrations again in person. For
Yay.
example, multicultural events, yeah, and different celebrations in our school as well as district wide. So they won't be online anymore, which is what we have been doing for the past few years with COVID. Now we're going to bring everybody back in person and celebrate together in person. So
That's
those
exciting.
are the major things, yeah, that we're
Are the
transitioning back to.
Does it
Mhm.
seem like people are pretty open to all of that? Or is there any pushback from parents or students who are like not comfortable yet? Or I just didn't know. Are
That's a good
people,
question. So the school year just started. We just finished our first full week last week. So I would say, as far as the students sitting together and being able to be more social and close together, they are loving it. Because actually, last year when we were telling them not to, they were doing it, and it was like, no, you can't do it.
stop what you're doing?
Right, stop what you're doing, move away. But now they're, close together and they're loving it. And we feel great because we don't have to tell them, okay, guys, separate, socially distant. So we'll see as far as the clubs and as far as the live celebrations. We'll see, if we get a lot more participation, which I think we will, because people are, they were itching to have some kind of community interactions and be back in person. So I think
Right.
we'll have a good turnout.
Awesome.
Yep.
Um, do you have any advice for parents for whom this is their first year with their child in school in person? Like I know my 5-year-old went to pre-K last year, but it was for 2.5 hours a day. And it was,
Mhm.
I sent him with masks until he was vaccinated, and he was only one of like a couple kids vaccinated. So, because some
Mm.
of them weren't even aged yet.
Right.
And so he's been boosted and everything. So I feel much more comfortable now, even with my 1-year-old also having
Okay.
the vaccine. So
Mhm,
everybody,
mhm.
of course, he's already been home from school for a day because he had a cold.
Oh, oh
And now
boy.
he's losing his voice. So I don't know what's going on today. Um,
Uh-oh.
but
Mm.
do you have any advice? Because I'm wanting all the advice. So anything?
Yeah, sure. I would say definitely stay in touch with your school, the teacher. The teacher is always the first person. Any concerns that you have, any questions you have, as a teacher, we always want and encourage the parents to email us with any of your concerns or questions. If we can't answer your questions or your concerns, definitely reach out to the administration, the vice principals, the principals. Um, I find that, sometimes we have some Facebook groups, parent groups. Those could also be helpful when you reach out to other parents, because some parents, they seem to be in the know. So you can get a lot of information from them. But mostly, I would say reach out to the school so that you can get it firsthand, any questions or concerns that you may have that you'd want answered. Um, Always listen out for any announcements. I don't know how your school district does it, but we always have phone blast where the principal or even the superintendent sends out announcements or information. So always look out and listen out for those. Um, I would say offer to help the teacher in any way, as far as maybe making donations, asking the teacher, how can I help? We're always, again, looking for help, especially with the little ones. There's always
Yes.
supplies that we can use. There's always celebrations I know that they do in the younger grades, and we'd like for parents to come and volunteer. That's a good way to get in and, find out more about what's happening in the school. As well as, I would say, definitely join your school PTO or PTSO, whatever it's called in your school district. Again, that's another way to volunteer and get to know other parents and find out what's going on in your local school. Um, and I would just ask your child, and I know one of your questions you're going to be asking, I really wanted to talk about student voice. And it doesn't matter how old they are, always ask your child. And don't ask them, oh, how was your day at school? Because they're going to say good, or, give a random answer. I would make it specific and say, what did you do in school today? What was the best part of your day today? What was the worst part of your day today? Like, really engage them and listen to them, and find out what's going on, because they're there all day. And besides the teacher, they're the best person to tell you what's going on. And you can get a feel of, what's happening in school and in the classroom. So definitely talk to your child, listen to your child to find out what's happening.
Absolutely.
So,
I've learned that Thomas doesn't like to talk about his day when he first gets home.
yeah, yeah.
It's too much, mom.
Hmm.
It's too much to tell you about my day. So I have to like let him literally like come home and just veg for like half
Yes,
an hour.
yes.
And then he like comes to me with things. He's like, oh, today somebody
Mhm.
didn't have good behavior, or I didn't have good behavior. He'll
Yes.
willingly do that. I used to try to like
Hmm.
force it out of him. And I'm like, why don't you want
Yeah.
to tell me? I want to know everything. And he's like, it's a long story, mom. So I've learned to take my time
Yeah.
and let him come to
Take your
me. And then
time.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And even my kids, they're, middle schoolers and high schoolers, they wait till bedtime. I still don't tell anybody. I still tuck them in
no,
at night.
that's
And
adorable. I love it.
that's the
I
time
hope that
when
that's
they
my
just
future.
spill everything. And my husband's like, what are you guys doing up there? Why aren't they in bed yet? I'm like, we're talking about their day. Like, that's when they're relaxed and they just start sharing everything. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
I
Because
love
yeah,
it.
Thomas will do that with my husband puts him to sleep, and that's when
Hmm.
I'm like, "Why are you still talking? You've been in there
Yeah.
for half an hour." He's like, "Oh, he was
Yeah.
telling me stuff." Okay.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's funny
Hmm.
that you say about the voice because I
Hmm.
had this incident with Thomas where he was wearing a shirt, and a lot of our clothes for the boys
Hmm.
are like hand me overs from friends that have had kids.
Yeah.
The clothes are in great shape, and he
Yeah.
wanted to wear something, and somebody had called him a Mickey kid because he had a Mickey shirt on the day before, and he was
Hmm.
like,
Okay.
he likes Mickey, but he's not a Mickey
Mhm.
kid, and he was like, so I
Oh.
went to put something else on him, and he was like, that's not my true self, mom. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
"Oh," and I'm like, "You're 5. Like, how are you doing this?"
How do
But
you
he was
know
like,
already?
so I had to bring us. I don't remember what he ended up having, but, like, a space shirt or something that made him more
Mhm.
comfortable, and then I, like,
Oh,
bought him, like, a couple small things that are things that he really likes because I didn't
okay.
realize that was even
Yeah.
happening, and that voice came through, and I was like, "Oh, you're like this individual little person now, and I have to
Yes.
do that." So
And
I'm
you
glad that
listen.
they're
That's great that you listen too,
yes,
and
I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is affecting
right.
you." Like, I
Yes.
so
I'm not a
so
Mickey
I
kid.
no, I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he
I
doesn't
love
not
it.
like Mickey. He's Mickey got a Mickey
Right.
backpack, but that's not who he is. He doesn't want people to
Mm.
call it was very enlightening to me, and
Wow.
I've been
Yes.
telling people the story because 'cause I'm like, "Listen to your kids. If they're not liking something they're wearing, it might be for some other reason than I just
Yes.
changing my mind."
Exactly.
So
That's right. That's right.
so, what trends are you noticing with middle school students, and what can parents and teachers do to support and encourage it? I know you kind of touched on helping with the teachers and stuff, but seriously,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
especially with the middle schoolers, because I know you have two of them. So
Yes. I would say the main concern with middle schoolers right now are definitely the use of cell phones. Our school started from day one this year, which we didn't do previously. We told them from day one there'll be no cell phone use throughout the school day, and that includes lunch and recess time. So it's taking
that's great.
a little while for some of them, yes, to get adjusted. A lot of them, they ask, but why? Why can't we have the phone? And I think it's important as educators to educate them and let them know why are we doing this. And, I'll tell them, last year or previous years, we had a lot of issues with our students with cell phones. There were a lot of things going on social media and group chats that were very negative, and it also caused a huge distraction in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. And it just took up too much of the learning time. So I would
Mhm.
definitely say to parents, please, please check in with your children with their cell phones. There are restrictions that you can put on there. And again, my kids, they won't be happy that I'm sharing this, but I'm going to share it. There are time limits that you can put on there.
Mhm.
Screen time, they call it screen time on the phones, where you can limit their use as well as what they're using the phone for. Encourage them to keep it in the backpack when they're in school. We don't need that, as a distraction. We just need them to come in and be ready and willing to learn and, interact and socialize with their peers and the teachers. So that's definitely a trend that I'm noticing, the issue with the cell phones. Another thing in middle school we're having this year, and we had it some in the spring, the girls are wearing, they all want to be cool. They're like your son, even though he's younger, but middle school, it's even more. They're trying to identify who they are, like what group they're in, by the way
Mm.
they dress. So certain girls are wearing the crop tops. And I'm sure you
Everyone,
see
I've
Kate,
seen
you
so
see it.
many
It's
of
like
them.
all in the store, right?
Oh,
Like,
even my friends' kids, and I'm like,
right. Like,
"Oh,
can you sell something else in the store? Like, why is it
yes."
crop tops all over the place? So the girls are coming in that, and again, educating them on school appropriate dress. We have a school dress policy, and we tell them it's fine, if you want to wear that outside of school with your parents going out, as long as, it's fine with them, it's fine. But in school, you have to dress a certain way, and, preparing them for the work world. If you're going to work, that's not something, that's acceptable at work either, depending on what you do. So just trying to teach them
Absolutely.
that. I would say the young men with their headgear, a lot of them want to come in, with their hats,
Mhm.
or do-rags or hoods. And some of them, it's not just for style, but some of them, parents, I want you to know, sometimes they don't feel comfortable with their hair. They may have either gotten a haircut or need a haircut, or let's say they have twists or braids and it's not freshly done, so they want to cover their head, and they always tell me, but I don't feel comfortable when I ask them to remove it. It's the policy, you can't
Mm.
wear it in school, but I don't feel comfortable, Mrs. Jones. So parents, you can help by, just trying to help them maintain, I guess, with their hair, and just knowing that, that is something that they are concerned about. Kids are all about their image, self-image
Mhm.
at this age. So that's another trend I'm noticing with them. Um, some of them are having difficulty fitting in. We have a few new students that have joined our middle school, and I'll see them at recess. I have recess duty, and they'll stand outside and, they'll be by themselves. And I see them looking around, and I try to have conversations with them and get them to, just scan. I tell them, just scan. Look for kids who you think, you might want to talk to or get to know better. I said, try to find kids that you know from your classes. Again, you might know some of them from your classes that you found out a little bit about them. Hopefully the teacher's doing some relationship building in the classroom so you can find out more about your classmates. Try to
Right.
gravitate towards those kids. And some of them are shy, which is fine. But, I just hate to see that the one kid just, oh, I don't have any friends. I'm just going to stand over here. But eventually I always see, they do find a group. So that's the other thing, fitting in and finding your group in middle
Gotcha.
school. Again, parents can talk to their kids about and just encourage them. It's okay, look for someone who has similar interests that you'd have. I see you
Yeah,
wanted to ask a question.
no, it's funny. I was talking to one of the Modern Motion students, and I was like, Did you make any friends on your trip?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "What?"
Aw.
I was like, "You didn't talk to anybody else?" And she's like, "No, but she didn't want to." And I was trying to
Mhm.
tell her, like, there are going to be things in your life later that you are going to have to talk to people for a job or for
Yes.
something else that's going to happen. And you may not
Mhm.
want to, but learning those
Mhm.
skills now are so
Right.
important. Like, we have been on
Mhm.
screens for years now. And so
Yeah.
getting that face to face and knowing how to carry on a conversation, even a new person, I am very uncomfortable sometimes going to places and talking to people that either I think are better than me or they're smarter than
Yes.
me or whatever. But I've
Mhm.
also learned that, like, everybody has something to offer.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just getting to going up to somebody and starting a conversation, you may not hit it off,
Mhm.
but you don't know.
Yeah.
And I was
If
trying
you
to,
don't
like,
try.
reiterate that, like, just welcome people,
Mhm.
just even being friendly, right? Just
Yes.
practice that because you're going to need that
Mhm.
as an adult in your life. And
Absolutely.
practicing it now is only going to make you better and better and better at it. It's kind of like auditioning, right?
Absolutely.
Just go to every
Yeah.
audition you can. And even if you're terrible at all of them, you've got the
Mhm.
practice. So you know how it's going to go and you'll only get better.
Exactly. Mhm.
So
I
I'm glad
agree.
that you
And
said that.
we do see some kids, they just go out there and they pull in the kids who are by themselves. Hey, you want to come
And
over and
that's
play soccer?
great.
Or hey, yeah. And I always praise them like, thank you.
Yes.
That is so awesome that you did that. So just encouraging them, like you said,
Yeah. I
to
think it
go up
takes a
to
special
someone.
person to do that. And they're
Yeah.
always
Hmm.
highly regarded in my book.
Yes,
And that screen time
absolutely.
thing, I have that myself for Facebook. I
Yay.
only
Yeah,
allow myself a half an hour a day.
that's
So
good.
that's it's been very helpful in my life
Yeah.
not being on social media so much. So I
Yes.
highly recommend that for parents with their kids. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what things have been adopted during COVID that have been great and will be kept? I know at one of my parent meetings, one of the dads was like, I've kept my kid off of computers for her entire life. And now she has a Chromebook and or an iPad and she's wants to be on it all the time. And he's like,
Oh.
he was asking if that was going to go away. And our administrator was
Mhm.
saying that textbooks aren't even being published really anymore. They're all online.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
how do you
Mhm.
feel about that?
Um, as a teacher, I actually like it, because you can find, like, so many resources that are more recent, whereas textbooks,
Mhm.
they get a textbook and you have it for 10 years and it's outdated and it's like, "Okay,
Yes.
this is not even relevant anymore."
That's what I was thinking,
Um
yes.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. Teachers are using Google Classroom, they're using Seesaw for assignments. I think it's good. The kids are really relating to it. They're most of the time getting their assignments done on there because they're so used to being on the computer all the time. So
Right.
I think that is helpful. But it's that separation, like you said. I would have some students in the past, they're on there watching YouTube videos or watching
Mhm.
other videos or playing games that they shouldn't be playing at the time. So that's when it does get difficult because, kind of like the phone, they don't know how
Right.
to separate. Like,
Right.
this is for work, this is for schoolwork
Exactly,
right
that's
now.
it,
We're not
right,
using it
that's
as a toy to play with, right?
right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right,
So
I was gonna say something that went out of my mind, so I'll just move on.
it's okay.
Um, So, oh, I was gonna say, we don't
Yes.
use it yet because Thomas is only in kindergarten, but they also said
Mhm.
that they post the grades. Teachers,
Yes.
I don't remember what system our school uses, but
Mhm.
I think that that will be helpful later because I know that, your kid's not always gonna wanna show them your work or whatever, and just knowing, like, how
Yes.
they're doing versus, like, all of a sudden at the end of a marking period, they have a lower grade and you're like, "What happened?" And it might have been,
Exactly.
it was gradual, the teacher didn't have time to, like, get in touch with you or whatever, or you didn't
Yep.
realize how bad it was. I think that for
Yes.
me, seeing it
Mhm.
progress will be helpful to me to know where I need to help or not help
Absolutely.
or
That is like one of my favorite tools as well. We use a program called Genesis in our school district, and I
Mhm,
think other schools it's called Ed School, or they have other different programs. But yeah, I mean, I'm on there every day, every other day, just to keep up with the kids and all of their assignments and all of the classes that they have, especially when they get to middle school and high school, where they have all different teachers for all of their classes. It's a great
right.
way to keep in touch. And that's one thing that I tell parents, definitely get on there, whatever that portal is, and, stay abreast. And the kids too, the kids can go on there and check and, see how they're doing in their classes, see what's incomplete, what might be missing, and make sure that they catch up with that. So that's another good thing that we have with the computers. Another thing that we adopted was the mass protocol. So we said it's optional,
Mhm,
and it was said right from day one to teachers and to students, everyone in the school, if you wear a mask, we're not going to make fun of you. It's fine if you decide to do that. If you decide not to wear a mask, it's also fine. It's up to you. And I've noticed, and this is middle school where kids make fun of each other all the time,
mhm.
no one makes fun of the kids that wear their masks, which
That's
is
great.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So that respect is there, and they understand, like, okay, well, this person wants to wear a mask and it's fine. I'm not going to make fun of them, or not wearing a mask. I'm not going to make fun of them. It's awesome.
So it's amazing that some middle schoolers can teach, some adults
Yeah.
some learning things
Yes.
there.
Isn't that something?
Yes, I mean, they're going through
Yeah.
enough, and the fact that we can all take a note from them on that
Yes.
because there has been some definite adult bullying about that, and I've never understood
Yes.
that.
Neither have I.
So I'm very glad to hear that because we also have had a mix at the dance school. We had I would say when we went optional,
Hmm.
the majority of the middle schoolers and high schoolers were wearing masks still.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was amazed by that because I was like, I thought they would be the first ones to be ripping it off
To
and
take it
saying like,
off.
oh, yeah, because
Exactly.
they're dancing so
Yeah.
much and whatever. And nope, the
Hmm.
majority of them had it on. And if they weren't, or they were, nobody was saying boo about it. Nobody was saying, oh, why are you doing that? Or why are you not doing that? And that was really refreshing to see. So
That
I'm
is
glad that that's
awesome. It continues
continued
in
on.
school.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So what resources would you recommend for families facing any? I know anxiety is an all-time high with middle school, high schoolers.
Yes.
Anxiety
Mhm.
specifically about school and both
Mhm.
and children and their caregivers. I mean, I know I'm even experiencing it
Mm.
with Thomas. So, what do
Wow.
you recommend?
I definitely recommend, again, speaking to your child's teacher whenever you're noticing anything, just to find out how it's going in school, in the classroom. What are you noticing? This is what I'm noticing at home. Keeping that line of communication open, and, just always communicating what's happening, what you're noticing. School counselor is definitely a person, whoever your child's counselor is. We also have case managers in the school, social workers, school psychologists. They're all there to help you with any questions or concerns that you may have. I know in our school district, and I'm pretty sure overall in New Jersey, we're really focusing on SEL, social emotional learning.
Yeah, I
So
never knew what
we're,
that was.
yeah.
And all of a sudden I
So
was like, what's SEL? I don't know what that is. But yeah.
so every classroom, every teacher, we're really making it a point to do SEL lessons where we're focusing on students' social and emotional learning, because we know, we're anxious as adults, they're anxious as kids, the parents are anxious. We're all, what's going on? How is this going to work? And it's not easy sometimes. So it's just good to know that we are actually teaching to that and listening to our students and trying to help them cope with whatever anxieties or issues they may be having. And again, the school counselors are there to always talk to them and listen to them. Um, there's inside in-school resources as well as outside of school resources that I can talk about in a moment. Our school PTSO or PTO, they too might have parent workshops. I know that our district does at least monthly or bi-monthly, they do parent workshops, so you can look out
Okay.
for that. And they would focus on those issues, that you are concerned about, as well as your pediatrician. Definitely, have a good relationship with your pediatrician. Any concerns that you may be having that you're noticing your child is having at school, speak to your pediatrician about it. And they could definitely steer you as far as where you need to go, what you should do. And those outside of school resources, I do have a few that we refer our parents to. One is Rutgers Behavioral Health. And they also work in conjunction with our school district. We have a few caseworkers or case managers that work there that come into the school and they work with the
Oh, great.
teachers and work with the children. Yeah. We have a program called Perform Care. This is something that we refer parents to if they're having issues with their children and they just don't know, they're stressed out. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know why my child is behaving this way. Please, somebody help me. There's something called Perform Care where you can reach out. There's a national parent helpline that you can also reach out to. And then finally, for mental health, there's another program that we use. It's called PESS, which stands for Psychiatric Emergency Screening Service. So there are a lot of resources that are available to help us, where I would say when I was a kid in school, I don't know. I don't remember any of these things.
They were like, you better go home and figure it out.
Right, figure it out. Exactly. Whereas today, it's so much different. It's just so much better. There's so many programs out there in school and outside of school to help our parents, to help our children. So definitely, you have to reach out and try not to just sit there and say, oh, I don't know what to do. And that's not going to help. You got to reach out and ask for the help and encourage your child too. Go speak to your counselor. My own kids, I notice sometimes they get anxious, they want to get good grades and, things aren't going right. Go talk to your counselor. That's why they're there. They're there to listen to you and help guide you, in whatever you need. So definitely encourage your children to do that as well.
Absolutely. Do you find that the kids are actually finding any comfort in each other because a lot of them are going through the same thing? Or is it still something that they're keeping to themselves more about and just, once in a while we'll notice something or a parent will talk to us about it so that we're aware of it. But is it something that they bond over maybe and can work through
for
things?
middle school? Absolutely. I definitely see them. Actually, it's funny. Some of them come as a dean. Some of them come and say, my friend is having an issue with so-and-so, or my friend's having an issue with the teacher. Like they will advocate for each other and they will speak for each other and, try to get their friend help. And I commend them again for, that you are such a great friend, just looking out for your friend and trying to help. So yeah, at this age, yes, they definitely do that. So
great,
which is good. And of course we hear from the parents as well. And as dean, we hear from the teachers, the student is having this issue. How can we help? So we're all in this together. It's a partnership. We all have to work
absolutely.
together.
I mean, we got to be in it together, right? Because if not, nobody's going to survive at this point.
Right. Exactly.
So, well, thank you so much for all your insight. This was great. I even feel more relaxed as a parent, and I'm not even in the district, but I'm like, oh, okay, everything's going to be all right now.
Everything's going to be all right. Yes.
Everything's going to be okay. So thank you so much for talking with us. And I hope that this reaches lots of parents at home. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to post it on one of our platforms and we will get back to you about it. I can always reach out since she is a dance mom. I have some access to get to her and we can always answer some other questions. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And everybody have a great night or day or morning or wherever you're watching this. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.